Hello and welcome to Ms. Pam Reed's Christian Content, where we are continuing in Abscond by GG Wagner. And in our last video, Lyzee went into labor. And that's as far as we got, right? She hasn't actually had the baby yet at the end of the video. So this is called Saying Goodbye. Lyzee clamped her hands over her ears as the quiet on this floor caused them to ring. She had noticed the silence as soon as the elevator doors had closed behind her. The nurses were different too. They had pity in their eyes, a sadness that was unlike anything she had ever experienced before, which threatened to suffocate her with her own tears. She leaned against the propped pillows behind her, clinging to the weighted teddy bear in her lap. Her heart ached. A vibration coming from the bed tray startled her. She reached out, parting the sea of wadded tissues until the screen came into view. Clearing her throat, Lyzee held the phone next to her ear and attempted to force her voice out. On the second try, a cracked hello escaped. What can I bring you for breakfast? Gwen asked. I'm not really hungry. I can just eat whatever the hospital serves, Lyzee said. Lyzee's hands touched her belly, feeling the emptiness. No more kicks or hiccups. The night had been long. She glanced at the clock. She had been awake every time the nurses had been in her room, using the hours to convince herself that she was going to be all right. The tears mounted, threatening to explode as a nurse strode into the room and smiled at her sympathetically. I need to go. The nurse just came in, Lyzee told Gwen. Good morning. Did you get any sleep? The nurse asked. Lyzee could not imagine enduring another round of questions. She was not okay, but could not say so. That would lead only to more questions. Finally, she blurted the only thing she was sure of. I want to see the baby. The words hung in the air, and Lyzee's eyes were pleading as the nurse, perched on the stool, turned abruptly to face her. Lyzee looked for some hint as to the likelihood of being granted her wish in the nurse's stony expression, but found none. Let me talk to your social worker, and we'll see what we can do, was all she said. The tears dripping from Lyzee's cheeks splattered onto her hospital gown, leaving water stains. She didn't even know what she was doing. The adoption plan, as written, stated Lyzee would have no contact with the baby. Picking up the teddy bear, Lyzee rocked back and forth. She knew the baby was going to be better off with adopted parents. There was no doubt about that. But Lyzee felt an overwhelming desire just to meet the baby and try to explain all of this. Someone was coming into the room. Lyzee looked up to see a nurse pushing a little bassinet toward her. She sat up, shoving the bear down beside her, feeling her heart beating wildly in her chest. It's so little, she murmured. Lyzee's eyes filled with tears as the nurse placed the tiny warm bundle in her arms. A tiny face peeked from the blanket with the most perfectly shaped red lips and the cutest button nose Lyzee had ever seen. A smile emerging from her heart spread across her face as the blanket moved. She felt a wriggle. Then two little arms stretched out over the baby's head. Another squirm. And then Lyzee watched as those dark eyes fluttered. Leaning forward, she touched her lips onto the soft pink skin, breathing in the intoxicating smell. Keeping her face close, she waited until their eyes finally met. Hello, I wanted to introduce myself. I'm your... Turning her head so the gushing tears fell on her shoulder and not on this perfect little miracle, Lyzee fought to regain her composure, overwhelmed by the depth of emotion she was feeling. All she knew was that she loved this baby more than life itself. Moving the blanket back, she counted tiny fingers and then toes. studying the angelic face, memorizing it, while whispering softly, "You are so perfect." Look at you two. Have you changed your mind about going through with the adoption? Lyzee's head snapped up to meet the eyes of her dear friend, Gwen. I didn't notice you'd come in. Gwen smiled and gave Lyzee's foot a reassuring squeeze. No one would blame you for backing out. Mark and I would support you all the way. This is a huge decision that will affect you both for the rest of your lives. Please give yourself time. I didn't know I was capable of loving anyone this much, Lyzee replied. I have already made my decision. Come and look at these eyes. They're darker than mine, but I see some family resemblance. Will you take some pictures of us? Gwen complied, and the two spent a few moments cooing over the baby. After a strange silence, Gwen said, Mr. Howell was here yesterday to inform us of yet another avenue Milo has taken to try to contest the adoption. Lyzee's heart began beating rapidly. She hadn't heard from Milo since she'd found out the sex of the baby. She'd steadied herself for more bad news as Gwen continued. Peggy contacted the adoptive family, and they are willing to wait, understanding this whole thing may not even happen. Since they live out of state, it complicates things. It turns out they can't legally take the baby, not even as a foster child, without Milo's consent to adopt. Peggy wanted me to tell you she's in the process of tracking down an acceptable family here in the state, and that you should not worry. So I guess this is it. The baby stays with me until this is settled. And no matter what Milo tries, I will never stop fighting. A nurse came in with a warm bottle, which Lyzee offered to the squirming baby, watching while it latched on and sucked noisily. Forgetting that Gwen was still in the room, Lyzee's eyes never left that little face. She felt the weight of Gwen's hand on her foot and looked up, unable to hide the awe she was feeling. I'm going to get some coffee and give you two a little bit of time alone. I'll call Peggy and update her. The nurse had returned and asked Lyzee, how are things going in here? Pretty great, Lyzee replied. Lyzee watched as the nurse laid a clipboard on the bedside table and tried to get a glimpse of its contents. The nurse was probably not too much older than she was, and Lyzee thought she looked uncomfortable. She typed with confident strokes on the computer, then turned to look at Lyzee. I understand this is a delicate situation. We will be ready to release you both tomorrow. But before that can happen, I will need a name to put on the birth certificate. Take your time. I just wanted to let you think about it for a while. I'll be back later and then we can fill this out, the nurse said. Lyzee just nodded, never taking her eyes from the little bundle in her arms, surprising herself with her motherly instincts. She began attempting to position the baby on her shoulder and was met with a bit of resistance. I think someone is curious, she told the baby. I know the view of the bed is boring, but I promise I'll turn you back around so you can see soon. It's just you need to burp. Her hand propped under the little bottom, while the other hand patted the back, their cheeks touching. Lyzee resumed talking in a soothing tone. Hey, little one, I would like to formally introduce myself. I'm Lyzee Noel James, and I'm crazy for you, but I can't be your mommy. I know that doesn't make sense. It doesn't to me either. I did some stupid stuff, and I got myself in a predicament. We don't come from a very good family. My mom has made bad decisions my whole life, and I just don't want that for you. I'm not in a good place to take care of you, or me for that matter, but I found a family that is. They have wanted a baby for a very long time, and they are unable to have any. I know these are good people that will love you. A ginormous burp filled Lyzee's ears, making her smile through her tears. She repositioned them both, offering the rest of the bottle, those little eyes fighting to stay opened while she continued her speech. My last name is James, and since you are going to have a different last name, I would like to call you Jamie, and for your middle name, Quinn, for my best friend. I'm sorry you've heard me talk about her. I'm sure you've heard me talk about her. Rory Quinn Cooper. Unable to stop the flood of tears, she dabbed at the wetness. Watching those little eyes opening wide, Lyzee moved her face closer, nuzzling the softness of that cheek, with eyelids becoming too heavy to stay awake, a full belly rising and falling with each breath until succumbing to the gluttony. Forcing her voice out through the lump in her throat, Lyzee whispered, "Sweet dreams, Jamie Quinn." Interesting. All right. So she had a baby. It was a girl, and she's still trying for adoption. So we'll see how that goes, because Milo is proving to be a problem still. All right, you guys. I hope you have a blessed day, and I will see you next time.